So about 12 years ago, I walked into a very crowded subway. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. In New York City. And I was 8 months pregnant. And this young man stood up and offered me his seat. And I was really tired of sitting, and I said, no thanks. And he stood there for a while, and he said, it's there for you. And I always remember that moment when we have almost, if we're lucky, millions of moments in our life. And when we think of the word hero or someone you're grateful for, I often rush to that moment. And it was a really simple gesture. It was a very kind gesture. And it wasn't a very difficult thing to do, but to me, that was a hero. And what I learned about that moment is all of the moments that we have that are important to us, we all have those memories of those very simple things or tasks that people have done for us because we are how we treat each other and we take care of each other. And the other thing I've realized is all of those moments throughout our life really kind of add up to who we are. And we all are heroes to a degree, like my guy on the subway, and I call him my guy because if I saw him today, I would not be able to tell you what he looked like, what he sounded like, but I'll never forget him. You know, when I was young, I grew up in the military. My father's, he was a Marine and we moved all over the place. And heroes, in my mind, had uniforms. Or on TV, they were Batman and Robin. They all wore capes. My particular favorite was Underdog. Probably not everybody's favorite, but I liked him because I related to him. He was short. I was, and probably still am, a little short. He was really cool. I always wanted to be cool. And most importantly, he was the guy that nobody expected him to do great things. And quite frankly, I kind of grew up thinking, nobody's really expecting much out of me. And I always thought, that's kind of cool, that guy can do it. So heroes are, as I got older, all around me personally. My brother and my sister, my Uncle Jerry, my friends, my family, peers, coworkers, mentors. I really felt well cared for. I really felt like I had inspiration all around me, people who were always looking after me. And now as I'm older, I have a husband who's a hero every day, and my girls are Abby and Meredith, who I find to be heroes all the time. And then I think of those that we all know and we all look up to. Edison, Lovelace, King, Lincoln, those that we all aspire to, we quote, we follow, their history. There are a lot of heroes amongst us. But I never forgot Underdog because what I realized is, as an underdog, I have my very own superpowers. And I think every single one of us do. And those superpowers that we have as just regular people are that we want to take care of ourselves and take care of each other, and that we want to change the world. We always want better. We want to do better, we want to see better, we want to feel better, and that, to me, is a superpower. The simple things we do for each other are the things that make it memorable for them and actually for us. So I think about heroes, and I think about how we treat each other, and I heard a song that really captures this. It's a song by the Alternate Roots. They're out of Connecticut, and they wrote this song called Nothing More. And the words are powerful, but they have one line that I'm really, really proud of, and I use it at work all the time. It's, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. And they wrote these lyrics in this song after the Sandy Hook tragedy. And it's so powerful in our day and age, both locally, in our homes, in our communities, in our neighborhoods, and nationally. When I think of hero, we turn on the TV and somebody's done something great and we call them a hero. But again, as I said, I think it's everybody around us all the time. On September 11th, Todd Beamer on United 93 and all his passengers on that plane decided to do something about the hijackers that took that flight. And they all got together and worked together and did what they had to do. And national news made them heroes, rightfully so. But when Lisa, Todd's wife, was interviewed about his heroism and how did she feel about it, she said something that was so poignant. Todd was a hero every day to me and our kids. And I thought, isn't that the truth? You know, we're all heroes. You can put an adjective in front of it. You know, I'm a brave hero because I'm a firefighter. I'm a courageous hero. I'm a literary hero. There are all sorts of different heroes. But every day, everywhere you look, there's acts of kindness and heroism going on. So I really do believe we can all be heroes. And when we work together, we do better, we have better outcomes. And again, when I look around and I think of the people that surround me in my day life, my family and my friends, my coworkers, the people that I aspire to be, I see very simple acts of kindness that are so meaningful to us all. I worked for the last 4 years in the nonprofit world, which is really just community-based organizations that have a mission and they do good work towards that mission. The people I work with are amazing. They are bursting with passion and dedication to the mission we're working for. And they are everywhere. In fact, I'll talk about how many in a moment. But the word nonprofit or charity or donors, or this whole world of community-based organizations, the model is over 100 years old. The model kind of started with wealthy, mostly men, cutting checks to those in need, mostly to feed the poor or clothe the poor or help with some housing or deal with some medical issues. 100-year-old model that hasn't really changed much. And it really does need to change, and it really has, because it went from something simple, people writing checks for others, to an industry with $400 billion alone in the sector last year. And the nonprofit sector, billions over the last 100 years. If you think of 400 billion, that's a lot of money and it's a lot of resources. 12 million jobs, 12 million people work in the United States for nonprofit organizations. And these are like the YWCAs and the rescue missions and all of the organizations that you all may be giving to, donating to, volunteering for. But it's a huge industry now. And in fact, 12 million jobs is as many as we have manufacturing jobs in the United States. And the only job sector that beats it is retail at 16 million. So if we think about the power of the nonprofit world, the community-based organization, we should be doing a lot of great stuff, and we are. And the other leg to this is the charitable acts of our residents. Everyday people like you and me who go out and donate our time, our money, or volunteer our muscle to clean up the park or do whatever we want to do to make this world a better place. So you have this nonprofit machine, and then you have all these people contributing in their own way, and yet we still have communities that are dotted, if not covered, with despair. We have intense rates of poverty in certain sections and in certain areas of our country. Illiteracy, high rates of obesity and diabetes. So I'm wondering, with all of these resources and all of this power of the people who are working hard to do better, why aren't we cutting through these rates? Why aren't we diminishing poverty? And poverty overall is around 14% overall in the nation, but if you go into some neighborhoods in urban areas, it's 50 or 60%. Intolerable. So my question to myself was really, when is this not going to be normal anymore? When are we going to stop that trend and reverse them? When are we going to be able to take that middle teen poverty number and get it down to the low single digits? Because it's been hovering in the middle teens since the 50s. And there has been piles and piles of effort and work and money to deal with poverty. So what are we doing wrong? How can we be the disruptors of those factors that plague our communities and plague our residents? The other thing I really find alarming is the life expectancy rate in the United States has been pretty much going up for 100 years. That means healthier, better quality of life. We've been living longer. The last 3 years, the first time in 100 years, the rate has actually dropped every year for the last 3 years. So, major indicator. We have all of this effort, billions of dollars, and yet our life expectancy is going down. And that doesn't just relate to health. That relates to socioeconomic factors and how we treat each other and how we're living our lifestyle and what we eat and how we live and how we play and how we work. Now, nonprofits, the community-based organizations, understand this. They have been working hard to change the way we work, and we have to because we need to do better at finding the solutions that cause these issues. We are really good at patchwork, right? Trying to go out and deal with the issues and give the services for those in need, and we don't have the opportunity to actually figure out why they need them in the first place. How do we figure out how we fix the problems that are plaguing our communities? Poverty is a deep issue. It's not a simple one. If it was simple, we would probably be much more successful. And same with the other indicators. So nonprofits have been recently making a lot of changes. We have to integrate better. We have to collaborate and break down the silos so that one organization isn't just feeding the poor and the other organization isn't giving them clothing and the other organization is dealing with after-school programs for the kids. How about working together in a single model to figure out how do we get the best services and also figure out how do we change the direction and trajectory of these families that are living in these conditions. So it's a system change for us. It's not going as fast as it should be, but it's happening. And it's also a change to accept data. We've always used data, but we've never really absorbed it and used it to make our decisions. We've never used data to make, to help us analyze those problems that can help us decide what to do to get to those complex social issues. And now we're starting to do that in a way we never have before. But this is hard for nonprofits. Nonprofits are slow to turn and adapt. Nonprofits have a hard time sometimes keeping the lights on, paying their bills, keeping talent, attracting board members. There's a lot of challenges, like with any other industry sector, for nonprofits to get their work done. But there are lots of bright spots. I don't want it to go unsaid that without nonprofit work, we wouldn't have the great impacts we've had in medicine and education and the environment and beyond. So there's been great work and great progress. But yet again, I say it's not enough. We have homeless rates at a record high. We have vet services that aren't getting met. And we have all this resource, all these people who care, and how do we bring this together? And I really feel that we need those superheroes, right? But not those kind. Those would be great, but I also hear they make a mess after they save the world. So we don't want a mess. We want people like you and me. Because my theory of change doesn't mean, it isn't about money. Money's not the solution. We've had money thrown at problems for decades and even a century, and it really doesn't work. We need people. We need people like you and me that are gonna work really hard and maybe even work at a nonprofit because they need the best staff. They need the best leadership, the best board members, the best volunteers to get their work done. But that's not enough either. I think the theory of change for me is really about what are we all doing as residents in our communities. The nonprofits can do a lot of good work and they need your help. But what can we be doing every single day? What can you and I be doing to change the world? And it really is about how you do what you do, how you act, and what you're doing. Do you volunteer to read to the kids at a preschool? Do you hold that door open when somebody is walking in behind you? Do you pick the weeds at the local park? Do you make signs for the march, for the cause that's important to you? What are you doing? What are we doing? Are we participating? Are we cognizant of what's going on and the needs of our community? Are we giving back? So I think with everybody participating, we might have a chance of really getting those numbers down and really creating a better tomorrow for our communities. And I don't really want to call this a challenge, even though that's what we call it. And I don't want you to think 5% more is cash. I want you to think of 5% more of whatever you do today as a new way of thinking. Because what I really think is important is that all of us give 5% more. And imagine the endless possibilities that could happen if we accomplish that. You know, we donate money today, we give, we volunteer, we go to the soup kitchen. We're really good at that. But do we make it our mantra every day? Do we think about how we can help people who are around us? Or if we have an idea about something that can be improved, do you go out and try it? Or do you talk to the nonprofit that's in the soup kitchen and say, you know what, do you guys need new pots and pans? What do you need? What can we do for you? Getting involved, getting engaged. So, true story, just recently, I'm driving to work in the morning, and I see this older woman on her walker, pulling a big garbage can behind her halfway down her driveway. And my instinct was, oh, let's pull over, help her out. I'll feel really good about it. I hope she will. But there was a car right behind me, probably not a nice driver, wouldn't really be happy if I pulled over abruptly. And of course, I was slightly late to work. So I kept going. And it really bothered me. And I realized something. Just like that guy on the subway, this bothered me because I could have stopped. And it bothered me for so long that by the time I stopped and helped her, would have taken the time that I was stressed out about not doing it. So simple things. When we see something, do something. When you care, you can act. Now I know we're all busy. We are busy. We're kind of a stressed out society. And sometimes we don't actually look or see the opportunities to help our neighborhoods, our communities, our nation improve because we're really just hyper-focused on what's going on. But I know even in my crazy world, with career and friends and family, and all those things that come in between, I can actually do more. And I should have stopped and helped that woman. And that bothers me even today, because I want to be more like that guy on the subway who just said, I got something to do and I'm going to do it. So we always have those opportunities to overcome our own obstacles, to do something better for someone else. And it matters, again, to them and to us. And I think in time of crisis, and this is the evidence to me, we see this happen. We see strangers take care of each other. On 9/11, strangers were helping each other get out of the Twin Towers. The morning of the Boston Marathon, strangers came rushing into the injured, not knowing if there were, going to be more explosions. It is inherently our personalities to go in and help. And I think that we're inherently good, because in times of crisis, we end up doing things for other people. We put our needs aside. Sorry. So I don't think we need times of crisis to prove that. I think we can see those opportunities every day if we look for them. And I don't want this to be a slogan. It is a lifestyle. It's a decision we make every day to do something good for ourselves, our society, the people around us, our community, whatever it is that you're passionate about. So that song I told you about, We Are How We Treat Each Other, is really important. And I'm really, thinking about this all the time, that how do we do better? And it's important that we give and we also receive, right? We take. There are opportunities for us to have the hero help us, like me on the train. But something about these times in the world of social media, with all the good and the bad that happens with social media, and what's happening on the national stage, and some of the negative and positive, mostly negative, we need to really hone in on how we treat each other. We really need to take this as our new mantra and really think about that 5% challenge. We need to conscientiously cultivate that art of caring for each other and ourselves. And I always say ourselves too, because if you don't take care of yourselves, you're usually not in a position to take care of anybody else. That woman that was hiding in that picture earlier, too stressed out to help anybody else, she needs help herself. So taking care of ourselves and each other is critical. So the solution to me is everybody participates in a better future. Our communities are better because of you. And I say this every day at work. Our people make up the brilliancy of our communities. But again, you're responsible. You have to be responsible to give that 5% more and do what you can for others and find those opportunities. When we see those opportunities to give, they're pretty easy. Some are really easy, some are more difficult. And I always think about the recipient. So those that are receiving a hand are usually really grateful. And everybody thinks how great that is. But I think those of us who are giving and supporting someone else, you are the hero, but I think you feel just as grateful. So it's a win-win. I don't know that everybody always thinks that way. When I was in college, I saw this great quote, and I don't know who Pike is. I know he's some attorney from the 1800s, not really relevant to schools today. But I loved the sentiment that if what you do for yourself is going to die with you, but what you do for others is going to be immortal. Because that's what matters, right? How we are with each other, who we are with each other. And that made me also think recently, we all think about holding the door for someone, but don't we all know what it feels like when somebody in front of us fails to hold the door, right? And you walk through and you're like, well, thanks a lot. We forget how easy it is to be kind and be generous, but we also don't think about what happens if we don't act that way. Think about 9/11 if we didn't help each other down those stairs, or we didn't rush in to help the injured during the marathon. So think about what we could do versus what we couldn't do, and I think you'll find that what we could do has great power, superpowers, right? So that song, the alternate roots, this lyric that is up on the board. Heroes don't look the way they used to, the ones on TV, the ones in the books. The most important thing to take away is that they look like you do. So thank you.